Hi, friends. It is just after 1 p.m. on Thursday, and we just have brand new information in from the National Weather Service. And we just got new model data in. I have the wrong clicker, so I'm going to let a few people join. The clicker is the way I move my graphics. I'm going to go grab my clicker. We're going to get started here in about 45 seconds. But the new information is that we have an expanded winter storm watch that now includes most of Metro Atlanta, okay? I'm going to let a few more people join, and I'll get started in about 30 seconds. Okay. Hi, friends. All right, I'm going to get right into the latest information. The winter storm watch has been expanded by the National Weather Service just in the last 30 minutes. So it now includes all of Metro Atlanta, pretty much most of our viewing area outside of the extreme central Georgia parts of our viewing area that saw snow last weekend. You guys are not in this winter storm watch. The rest of us are. And I'm going to read you the text that was sent from the National Weather Service. Again, this winter storm watch, it starts at 1 a.m. on Saturday morning and goes through 10 a.m. on Monday morning. We think the major impact is going to start later in the day on Saturday, but it could last through Monday morning. Here's what they're saying about this. Significant icing is possible. Total ice accumulations around 0.4 of an inch possible or more. Power outages and tree damage are likely due to the ice. Travel could be nearly impossible, and the hazardous road conditions could impact the Monday morning commute as well. So they are thinking that it is going to be cold enough for us to see accumulating ice, okay? So let's now take you through everything we know. And guys, I am watching both our YouTube, by the way, and our Facebook for comments and questions. So if you have questions, you can leave them and I will answer them. Let me get through the entire, all my graphics. Let me get through my entire presentation before you guys start asking about specific cities, because I think a lot of this is going to be answered as we go through it, okay? All right. So we're getting a better understanding of the timing. Looks like it'll be dry on Saturday morning. Then Saturday afternoon, that's when that freezing rain will start. It'll be widespread by Saturday night. So essentially you need to be off the roads by like 2 p.m. on Saturday at the latest, all right? Freezing rain and rain will be all day on Sunday. It's the major impact day. It's the day you just cannot be on the roads. You're not going to church. You're not going to Sunday dinner out at a restaurant. You're not doing anything on Sunday, right? Monday looks dry, but because it's going to be so cold, we could continue to see icy back roads, okay? So, starting out 9 a.m. on Saturday, it's pretty dry, right? Still pretty dry at noon. But then that freezing rain, it starts first for the mountains. Rome, Canton, Gainesville, you guys are going to start to see freezing rain 4 p.m. That freezing rain moves into Metro Atlanta sometime on Saturday evening or Saturday night, and it will be widespread by Sunday morning. From Atlanta off to the east, that's where the freezing rain will be the worst. Now, I'm showing you The GFS model, which both of our long-range models are hinting at this warm nose of air making its way in to southern parts of our viewing area. We are pretty all aligned in thinking the models are overdoing the warm air. And we'll talk about the setup. It's called a wedge. It is so hard. The models have such a hard time predicting the wedge because when a wedge of cold air moves in, it can mean a difference in 30 degrees in temperatures in like a very small area. It's very hard to predict. But what we know is when it's already raining and that cold air moves in, the rain reinforces the downdraft from the rain. It reinforces the cold air, locks it in near the surface. So we're thinking that the rain is going to reinforce that wedge, reinforce the cold air, and keep it pretty cold. So best case scenario is freezing rain switches to rain late on Sunday. But for much of East Georgia and Metro Atlanta, it's going to continue just to be freezing rain through all day on Sunday before we dry out on Monday. Okay? So here's the timeline. Mostly dry Saturday morning, light freezing rain Saturday afternoon and evening. The worst conditions will be Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night. I cannot emphasize enough that when the sun is down Saturday evening, you should not be on the roads. You should not be on the roads really until midday on Monday when we get a grip of how bad the ice is, okay? So here's the setup. This is the wedge setup. So when cold air comes down from Canada, gets wedged up against the Appalachian Mountains and streams down into Georgia. So the closer you live to the mountains, the colder it's going to be for you. And this is the issue, is look at Sunday morning. Johns Creek at 32, Gainesville at 30, 32 in Athens, but 50 down in Thomaston, 49 in Noonan. Now they're overdoing that warm air. We don't think it's going to make it as far north into Metro Atlanta. But if it does, we'll see a transition back to rain, and that would really help out our ice accumulations. So we will hope that that happens. But we want to prepare you for the worst case scenario. And I will tell you, this is a graphic I've been showing a lot over the last several days, and it updates about every 6 hours. It updated about an hour ago, and it has increased the chances for now half an inch of ice. Now there's 30% chance, and a half an inch of ice, guys, is significant ice. Significant ice. 30% chance, so a 1 in 3 chance for the city of Atlanta. An 80% chance for Gainesville, a 70% chance for Canton, a 65% chance for Athens. That northeastern area has a really high chance of significant ice accumulations. Meanwhile, areas south of I-20 probably will not be much impacted by ice, okay? So here are the cities that are likely to see disruptive ice, and we'll take you through what that means, okay? But it is most of Metro Atlanta, certainly North Metro. Atlanta, Johns Creek, Alpharetta, Roswell, Woodstock, Canton, Marietta, Lawrenceville, Winder, Duluth, Stone Mountain, Norcross. Disruptive ice totals. Remember that, okay? Disruptive means tree branches sag and break. You'll see some power outages and dangerous travel. Significant ice totals, more than half an inch, is when trees come down, we see widespread power outages and impossible travel. Now let's take you through the significant ice cities. Gainesville, Flowery Branch, Athens, Watkinsville, Winder, Dahlonega, Cumming, Forsyth County, Helen, Winder, Commerce, Brazelton, Dawsonville. If you live in these areas, you need to shut it down this weekend. You should plan on losing power. There's a high chance of that. You should plan on impossible travel. And you should plan on very slippery roadways into next week, okay? So now let me show you the two different long-range models. And by this time tomorrow, we will have our short-range models in, so we'll have a much better handle on the potential ice totals. Those shorter-range models are more high resolution, okay? The GFS model is kind of a worst-case scenario. It has catastrophic ice totals from Athens to Gainesville. See that red? That would mean like everything shut down. Really, essentially from Gwinnett County to Dawson County up into the mountains, and over half an inch of ice for all of Metro Atlanta. Now, the Euro model has a little bit more warm air. It still has about an inch of ice in Gainesville. Gosh, Hall County, y'all, if you live in Hall County, you really need to be prepared for the worst, okay? I also think Lumpkin County, Dawson County, Habersham County, White County, you guys are going to see significant ice. Half an inch in Athens, almost an inch in Canton. So really from North Metro to Forsyth County. So even the Euro model, which is the warm model, is predicting significant ice north and east of the city. So as far as the roadways go, you're still good to go on Saturday morning across all of North Georgia, but you got to really be inside by about 3, 4 p.m. on Saturday at the very latest. If you can stay inside all weekend, that's the safest route. That's the best route. The worst day on the roads is going to be Sunday by far. That's when we'll see that precipitation all day. And by Monday morning, we could still see those icy roads. Okay. Now, before I get into the snow, I'm going to answer some of these questions. Yo-Yo Projon says, I'm in Clarkston, Georgia. National Weather Service shows more possible freezing rain than just rain on Sunday. How much ice could we get in Clarkston? I hope I answered your question just now. But Clarkston is likely to get more freezing rain than Atlanta, up to 0.4 inches, maybe even more. Okay? LaGrange, Georgia, Bonnie, you guys are in the clear. You guys aren't going to see much freezing rain at all. It's probably going to be just rain. Augusta, Georgia, that's a good question. Augusta is going to see ice, for sure. And the worst day for the ice will be Sunday into Monday. So if you live in Augusta, that might arrive a little bit later, more like Sunday morning, but you guys are going to see ice. How bad will it get in Rome? Well, Rome is in the winter storm watch, but you guys are in West Georgia, so you're less likely to see that wedge of cold air. So I think that you guys could still see light ice accumulations. I do not think that there will be significant ice in Rome, okay? Cobb County could get hit pretty hard with significant ice anywhere in Atlanta. I named that as the disruptive ice totals. Athens is going to be one of the worst areas for the ice, guys, up to an inch of ice. Athens is one of the cities that could be completely shut down by ice, likely to, okay? So if you live in Athens, you need to be prepared to lose power for at least a day, starting Sunday, lasting into Monday. Okay? Now, let's talk about snow totals. This is not going to be a snowstorm for us here, but it is going to be a massive snowstorm to our north. More than a foot of snow from Oklahoma to Kentucky to parts of Tennessee, Virginia. So I don't even expect snow for the mountains now, unfortunately. And then you can see it's going to stay cold on Monday. So even though we'll see the sunshine Monday morning is going to be in the low 20s. So anything that is still frozen overnight is going to get locked in. And then because we don't climb really above freezing, shaded areas are likely to stay very icy. If you wake up Monday morning and it's icy, it might still be icy where you are on Tuesday as well. And then we talk about the cold next week. My goodness. It's going to be really, really cold across the eastern United States. Through the week next week, we're talking highs only in the 30s and 40s through most of the week. And I want to go ahead and tell you guys, some of the models are predicting another, not take this with a grain of salt, but some of the models are predicting another winter weather system at the end of next week into next weekend. So we're not quite done with it yet, all right? Y'all, Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez is here. She is in updating the forecast. I know you guys have a lot of questions about your specific area, and the PM team is going to be taking you through that, okay, through the entire afternoon. But here's the deal. We are going to be on air from the time this thing starts at 5 a.m. on Sunday through Monday night. We're not going off. We'll be on 24/7. The entire newsroom will be here. We had a meeting about it today. We've been prepping it up. So other stations are going to have to go off because they have national syndicated programming. We're not going to be off. We will be with you the entire time that this storm is going through. So you can keep it locked on Atlanta News First, and we will have you covered, okay? And in addition to that, you can, if you lose power, you can stream through our app. So make sure you download the Atlanta News First app and make sure you are powered up. Again, you're good to go tomorrow. You're good to go Saturday morning. By midday on Saturday, you really should shut it down, all right? All right, guys, I'll be back on air tomorrow morning. I'm going to go get some sleep. We will be with you again the entire weekend. Do not worry. We have you covered.
All right, and as you heard from First Alert Meteorologist Ella Dorsey, really getting you prepared for the weekend and the latest update that came into our newsroom. We're going to continue to talk about preparation. As I fix my settings here, I'll pop on camera shortly for you folks. There you go. Hopefully you see me now. I'm Maria Moreau with Atlanta News First Plus. Thank you for joining us for our afternoon weather updates. We are going to be doing these throughout the day into the weekend so that you can stay informed and up to date. But as Ella mentioned, there is a lot coming our way, and the best thing you can do right now is those last-minute preparations. Think about your home, think about your car, think about yourself, family members. If you have a senior that needs medication, start to think in that direction. We actually spoke with some experts about some items you can buy at the store today. Most are less than $10 that will help you in the weekend if you find yourself losing power, if you find yourself in situations where you have to weather the storm. So our Atlanta News First, Adam Murphy, spoke with Ace Hardware with some tips on things to consider to put in your last-minute essentials.
So here it is. I mean, they're talking the storm could be historic, primarily because it could be an ice storm. And that leads to issues with down power lines or trees knocking power lines down, people without power. It could go on for a few days. I mean, depending on the magnitude. So I want to ask you about this ice melt stuff over here. I mean, just since we've been here, a number of people have come up. Do you have the ice melt? Do you have the ice melt? What's going on here? I mean, tell me how much it costs and what it does.
Well, $19, $20 a bag. You can take it out, throw it on your driveway, melt the ice and snow, takes care of it. You can even get pet-friendly ice melt, which doesn't damage the paws of your pets when they go out, and it's also environmentally friendly when you buy the Pet Safe.
And everybody seems to want that. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Is that the hottest item right now?
That's the hottest item.
And I guess because people are, they want to be able to walk on the driveway or sidewalk, or maybe potentially get out of their home?
Possibly. They may want to go out and play in the snow, and they want to have a safe place to go to stand so that they don't fall down, so they kind of melt that ice, especially steps.
No doubt about it. So let's talk about some of these other inexpensive must-haves that you don't have to break the bank. Probably come in here, you can buy 3 or 4 or 5 different things, spend under $50, and it just could help you through the storm in the event you lose power. Tell me about some of these things here that you might want to
Faucet covers, that's probably the wisest purchase in the store, because if you have a hose bib freeze on the outside, it can cost you thousands of dollars to repair that plumbing. So for $5 to $7, you can cover your bib, which is the spigot on the outside of your house. We have blankets for your plants so that you don't that your plants aren't damaged by the ice and snow, that you can throw over for $24, something like that, $25. We have scrapers that are $6. You can scrape the ice or snow off your car windshield.
That's good to have. Also, insulation covering and batteries. Get into some of that.
Yes, batteries are essential if you have flashlights and so forth, because if the power's out for a long period of time, you're going to burn your flashlights, you're going to burn your lanterns, so you need backup batteries for that if you don't have rechargeable. Pipe insulation is another big saver. It's very inexpensive, $4 or $5 for a 6-foot piece that it opens up and you can just wrap it around your pipes and it keeps them from freezing. That's a good investment.
Yeah, and they don't have to spend much money.
No, you don't.
To get that. One thing you were talking to one customer about, I know you didn't have it here, but it's something good to keep in mind, and that is when it comes to tell me about that, what you want to do there.
Well, if your cell phone is essential to you at home, and most of us do rely on our cell phones pretty heavily, there are battery packs that you can buy that you can charge when you have power. Then when you don't have power, you can actually hook your phone up to this battery pack and recharge your phone. The other alternative is to buy an adapter that you can put in a cigarette lighter if you have that in your car, and you can charge your phone by going out and make sure you raise the garage door if you're going to do that, start your car, and charge your phone for a little while.
Yeah, and I don't know what those prices are typically on battery packs. Sounds like a really good investment.
It is. They're usually under $100.
Yeah.
So, but it would be a good investment, especially for those of us that rely on our cell phones so dearly.
Which is pretty much all of us.
All
right?
of us, right.
I think that's pretty good. Anything else, any final advice you would share?
I just
people?
pray that everyone stays safe and warm.
Yeah, and I think people panic a little bit. Would you reassure them that there's 2 or 3, 4 little things you could pick up at the hardware or at a home improvement store, not spend a lot of money, that'll get you through it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Do you believe that these items can help you?
Absolutely. I think in times of power outages and catastrophic weather, it actually helps us feel safer to have these little things that make a difference in our everyday living in that environment.
Great job. So here it is.
And again, that was an interview our Atlanta News First reporter Adam Murphy did. I want to move into talking about grocery stores, food, an essential item for everyone. Right now, officials are urging you to have at least 3 days worth of food, non-perishable food, in the event that travel becomes unsafe or grocery stores start to close down for whatever reason if the storm intensifies. So very important to think about those things like peanut butter, crackers, canned soup, dried fruit, granola bars, those kinds of shelf-stable items that are going to get you through an event like this. Now, ideally, you want to have a 1-week supply, but at minimum, consider a 3-day supply for you and your family. Make a plan together. We spoke with Publix, one of the grocery stores that is seeing an influx of shoppers as folks get ready to hunker down for the weekend.
Just rolling back there because our digital desk will stream stuff all day, just various little snippets.
Looks good on your end.
They were asking us when we do interviews for the prep stuff, whatever it is.
They can use it, yeah,
because
sure.
they can use it.
Could you count to 10 for me?
Sure. 1, 2.
All right, so we're set to go ahead and start this thing? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, we good?
Yeah, we're
all
good.
right, finally. Okay, we'll get this done here. So here we are, another threat, and it's going to impact a lot of people in a lot of states. Here in Georgia, everybody wants to know, like, what do I need to have? What should I have it ready to go or in place? Because there's so much uncertainty about it. Let's start with milk and bread, because everybody freaks out when they hear about stuff like this. They rush and they buy a ton of milk and bread. What would you say to people ahead of the storm when it comes to that?
Well, the good news is Publix is really focused on a culture of preparedness. We want to make sure that we do everything to be available and ready to help our customers and communities before, during, and after a storm. At Publix.com/storm, we have checklists available, things you might not think about. Like, of course, everybody thinks about milk and bread and non-perishables or cereal, but what about making sure that your prescription is ready to go? What about your pets? Sometimes, children's formula, things of those nature, just to make sure that you're ready to go if you need to spend a couple of days not being able to leave your house.
And what do you encourage people to do when it comes to buying these essentials? Some will come in and just fill a whole cart full.
Right. Like I said, we're really focused on preparedness, and so we want you to prepare, not panic. We are well stocked. We plan well ahead of these things. And that's not just about having the right products on the shelves, but it's also about the transportation of those products timely at each store location. So that's always our goal, and that's what we center around months before these storms hit, even as it relates to getting back up and running after a storm. Most of our stores are equipped with permanent generators. Those that cannot accommodate one at their location, we have plans for remote generators to come in. So again, we're always focused on just making sure that we're back up and running. It's never lost on us the role we play in making sure that our customers and communities are safe. We want you to be ready before, and we want to help you get back on your feet after.
And what kind of items, you mentioned milk and bread, but what other items, are good things to grab maybe in the event that, you lose power or whatever? I mean, do you have any suggestions on things that are simple, maybe
Absolutely.
on a budget?
Yeah.
You don't have to spend a lot of money, and it'll kind of get you through the storm.
Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you've got stock up on batteries, for example, firewood. All of these kinds of things are essential. Things that if the power goes out, are you still going to be able to be comfortable, safe, and be able to feed your family? The great news about Publix is that you don't have to sacrifice the quality and or the products for the price, and we've got tons of BOGO items, and then also, you can look at the advantage buys. And our goal is always to make sure that things are accessible for folks. So we want to make sure that you're ready for that storm, and that should the power go out, that you can be comfortable and safe with your families long after.
And what are you guys hearing at stores ahead of this storm? Is it the usual where you guys are maybe, needing to restock the bread and milk a little more than normal? I mean, are shelves bare in any places like that, or?
We are up and running. Nothing, again, we don't want anybody to panic. We have plenty of product on the shelves. We're ready to go. Stores are receiving deliveries throughout the day consistently, and we amp that up even more so ahead of a storm. So no worries, you should be able to find everything that you need. Not that it's not important to plan ahead of time. You want to make sure that we do that so that you're not waiting, till last minute. But other than that, we're open and ready, and shelves are stocked and ready to go.
And so in the event that power goes out, you guys have generators there's a plan with generators at your stores to keep power on, stores open. Is that the game plan?
Absolutely. So each one of our stores has a generator. For the few that can't accommodate one, we have remote ones come in. The idea there is that not only are we able to really, after a storm, get back up and running as quick as possible, and that's to help the community really in general. But when you think about the amount of product that we have too, it ensures its safety and quality, so that we don't have any blips on the radar as far as frozen items going bad or anything like that.
Yeah. Anything else you would want to recommend or suggest to anybody? Not waiting till the last minute, to get what you need.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to wait till the last minute. We sure aren't. We're ready for you. So come in early, grab what you need. If you're confused about items that you might want, or maybe this is your first, winter storm in the area, check out Publix.com/storm. Their checklists, their items, things that you might not have thought of that'll, just keep you on track so that you're ready to go and safely weather the storm.
That's good. Anything you can think of? Great job,
Great.
Nicole.
Thank you.
Nicole.
You got it.
Last name, spell it for me.
Kraus.
All right, and that was, again, a dip into where our field crews are gathering, talking to folks that are helping you prepare the businesses, the agencies, the nonprofits. This is really, everyone is getting involved in preparing and making sure they're preparing each other for the weekend. And you can do that for yourself, your family, and even your neighbors. Maybe if you have somebody out of town, ask for an extra key so you can keep track of their home. And as you just heard, lots of things can slip through the cracks that you might not realize you need. Things like warm clothes and blankets, battery-powered radios, just extra batteries in general so that you can stay in touch and communicate when the power does, or if the power does go out. A first aid kit is always a good idea, as well as medicine. Don't wait until the weekend if you have to refill your prescriptions. Make sure you take care of that now while stores are still open and travel is still safe. One of the biggest things that you can do is make sure that your car is good to go if you do need to travel. Make sure that your gas tank is filled. Check on your car. Check on things like tire pressure. You can check on your battery and your charging system. Make sure that you're inspecting that cooling and antifreeze setup, as well as your belts and hoses and windshield wiper fluid. You want to make sure that you have emergency supplies in your car in the event that you do get stuck and you are not able to keep the car running, that you have a way to warm yourself and you have a way to access communication and things like that. So make sure that you're thinking in that direction. You never know when you do need to get on the road. If you can avoid the road and have an indoor type of weekend, that is going to be your best bet Saturday through Sunday. Now, we did talk to a road safety expert for things to keep in mind if you do find yourself needing to get on the road and travel in these icy conditions. And as we continue to talk about road safety for this upcoming weekend, it's very important that you prepare yourself if you have to travel as best as you can. And so to help me talk about what you should do is David Reich, the Director of Public Relations with the National Road Safety Foundation. And David, how are you? Thank you so much for coming on. You are a very much needed expert at a time like this.
Well, happy to help. Yeah, here where I am in just outside of New York City, we're used to the cold weather, but still a lot of people here, they just don't handle it right when they're on the roads.
Yeah, I know certainly a snow day is something that is rare here in the South and we enjoy, but the main threat we're looking at right now is the threat of ice, especially on the roadway. A lot of our vehicles here not quite prepared for those types of weather conditions. So, for someone who has to travel, whether it is for work, for essentials, what are the first things that they should do before they even get in their vehicle?
Well, before you even get in the car, check around the car, clear the ice off. Don't leave ice up on top of the car because uh, once you start going and as things warm up a little, that ice can just go flying off the car. It becomes a dangerous projectile. It can go into a windshield of another car behind you or just be a bad distraction. So make sure your car is clear. Check all your tires. Make sure your windshield wipers are free of ice and clean. Check your lights. Make sure they're not covered with ice or snow. So this way they'll work and they'll be effective. So a little bit of prep time before you actually start your car is helpful.
Certainly. And, we talk about road conditions. There's different types of roads that you can find yourself on, the highway, residential spaces. Are there different ways that you should approach each major roadway?
Yeah, I think you have to adjust for the conditions. And so, first of all, just be prepared. Leave yourself some extra time. In bad weather, just allow extra time to get where you need to go, because what you have to do in bad weather, especially in what could be icy conditions, is slow down. It's going to take you longer to get where you're going. That's just a reality. And if you don't pay attention to that, you may end up not getting to your destination at all because you could be in a crash. So take it easy, slow down, be extra careful, slow down, especially on curves or when you're making a turn, because if the roads are icy, that's a situation where you can go into a skid. Also, leave extra space between you and the cars ahead of you. So, instead of what the normal, a couple of car lengths per every 10 miles an hour, leave even more space, because if that car ahead of you has to make a stop and you happen to hit a slippery and icy patch, you'll go right into that guy's rear end. So leave yourself plenty of extra space.
I'm glad you bring up, losing control of your vehicle is something that we don't expect, and it really is seconds to react to. Let's say you are driving, you've been careful, but your car is starting to move outside of your control. What are your immediate steps in this situation?
Well, first of all, don't step on the brakes. That's an immediate reaction is oh, you're going to put on the brakes. If you step on the brakes, basically you are giving up all control of the car, because it's just going to skid whichever direction it's going to go in. So don't put your foot on the brakes. Take your foot off the gas, and if you feel yourself, if you feel the car skidding, steer into the skid. So turn your wheels, and it's kind of counterintuitive, but steer in the direction that the car is skidding, and just make sure you slow down. But slow down by taking your foot off the gas, not slamming on the brakes.
Well, thankfully, it is the weekend. A lot of folks don't have to go into work, but some do. We also talk about our young drivers, the ones that are fresh to their driver's license and getting on the road that may not know how to really drive in these conditions. Any conversations that parents can have with their teenagers or young adults?
Yeah, that's so important. Parents do need to talk to their kids about safe driving all the time, but especially in bad weather. Not just ice or cold weather, but even just rain can make the roads slippery and dangerous. So parents should just explain to them just the things we were just talking about. Slow down, leave yourself plenty of time. Don't tailgate, leave extra space between cars, and take it easy on turns. Another thing that we all have to be careful about when we get down around freezing or just above freezing temperatures is black ice. And that's something you don't even see it, but it's something that you can just hit on as you're traveling. Be especially careful if you're on a bridge or if you're in a shaded area, because that's where black ice can form, and you just don't see it until you're on it. So again, slow down, take it easy, allow yourself plenty of time. That's really the best advice I could give.
David Reich with the National Road Safety Foundation. An honor and a pleasure to have you here, sir. As we talk about, navigating the roads in your vehicle, anything to have inside of your car so that if you, in the event you do get stuck, you have resources.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Yeah, if you're traveling and you think you could get stuck somewhere, have things like water, even something, a snack or something. Um, your cell phone, of course, but nowadays nobody goes anywhere without their cell phone. Uh, I think those are the key things. Maybe a pair of gloves, a hat, just in case you do get stuck, and if the car's and you can't keep the engine running, and it gets cold, at least you've got something to protect yourself against the cold. It's not just behind the wheel, but when people are passengers, they can play quite a role in safe driving. If you're in a car that you feel is being driven unsafely, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't worry about being called a backseat driver, because it could be your life at stake and others, including the driver and other people in other cars, even pedestrians. So we encourage all passengers to be safe passengers. Don't be a distraction to the driver, but also call out bad driving behavior. If the driver is speeding or tailgating or going too fast, considering the weather conditions, don't be afraid to say something. Just say it calmly, and don't get into an argument, but just say, hey, listen, you're making me nervous. Please take it easy.
David Reich, thank you so
Right.
much. Again, we are getting Atlanta and Georgia prepared for this winter weather system. We wish you a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Did you like how I changed clothes there? It was an earlier interview, of course, but we wanted to make sure to share that with you because you really don't know when you will have to travel. You don't know what situation might change for you. Ideally, the plan should be to not travel at all and make sure that you are staying home. Luckily, it is the weekend. Hopefully, most of you don't have to go into work. If you do find yourself on the road, great advice from David Reich with the National Road Safety Foundation. And we've talked about the ice that's underneath your feet. We've talked about the ice underneath your tires, but you want to think about this winter storm and look above for a moment. The trees. Trees are going to be a major thing to watch out for as we continue to talk about preparations. I actually spoke to a certified arborist on how they're preparing to help people in the event that a tree could fall onto your home, could cut power lines in your area, and cause significant damage in this winter ice storm. For that, I want to take you out to that interview as we talk about what to look out for above during these winter conditions. And joining me now is John Powell, a certified arborist with the ArborGuard Davie Company. And John, thank you so much for joining me here on Atlanta News First Plus as we are anticipating in the coming days this winter weather system and a lot of people thinking about their groceries, thinking about their home, thinking about their vehicle. I feel like trees get overlooked, and it is one of those things that you don't realize until it's happened to you. A large tree has fallen on your house due to a strong storm, and then many folks are like, where do I go? So let's start by talking about this winter weather system and the tree impacts. What are you guys hearing as you prepare to head into this weekend?
So we got all our ducks in a row. We're ready to go. We're gassed up. We're fueled up. Our crews, thankfully we have really great crews, and everyone's mentally and physically prepared for this. We don't know where or when it's going to hit. Some areas are impacted more than others. In Atlanta, we do have a lot of storms, a lot of pop-up tornadoes. For the most part, seems like nature cleanses itself. So all the really, really bad, weak trees have been knocked down. However, we have ice involved in this. And it's wintertime. Most of the leaves are down and most of the trees are bare. However, we have a lot of pine trees, a lot of ornamental evergreens, they are most likely going to be impacted the most, especially if there's a pretty strong wind gust after that. So, very large limb failure. Some trees may get complete failure, meaning they come up out of the soil because due to the weight. Other trees to worry about would be asymmetrical shaped oak trees with really heavy, long, elongated limbs. Trees that aren't just evenly shaped, right? They're either longer on one side or longer than the other. That's because of codominant limbs. So you'll get some big, really big, large branch breakage as well. That could be very heavy and very destructive.
You mentioned the ice, and that is a major threat that we're following. What in this winter storm specifically is the main point that you are focused on that would probably or could bring the most damage to trees?
It's going to be the ice accumulation that the branches are not used to this weight and pressure, and then if the storm system's going to go the way it is, we're supposed to have this really strong wind gust. That's going to cause some serious damage. You're going to get a lot of breaking, a lot of failing of trees. Um, Obviously there's power lines everywhere in the Metro Atlanta area, and there's trees everywhere. So most likely there's going to be power outages and trees down and trees blocking roads. I don't want to give the worst case scenario, but we're expecting some of this stuff to happen.
We're preparing for the worst, hoping for the best, as always. If I am a homeowner, I have this tree that has been sitting in my yard or near my home really since I've moved in. What do I need to start thinking about now?
Well, it might be a little bit too late now, but moving forward, if everything works out the way we would like it to work out, if you do have large trees on your property, close to your house, by your driveway, say your property comes to a corner where there's a bus stop, these are areas where you have a lot of activity, human activity, people living in dwellings. And, I would recommend you get an arborist out there twice a year to check your trees. It only takes within an hour, a few times a year. You have to look at arborists as if we are like the dentist. We need to check up on them twice a year. And then depending on the type of tree and how big, every between 2.5 and 5 years, you should have some type of maintenance pruning done. And that would be taking some weight out, reducing weight on branch ends, pruning out dead limbs that can potentially fall out during storms and strike objects or people. Just an overall basic maintenance, I would say every 2.5 to 5 years if you do have large mature trees.
Yeah, really good advice is always thinking ahead and looking out, past your home into the surrounding area. I know that this winter storm is just around the corner and it might be too late to actually take tangible steps to make sure that a tree doesn't fall onto your house. But let's say that we do still want to take some precautions, for example, moving from one room to another. Is there anything that you typically see where you would encourage people to take small steps to keep themselves protected?
Yeah, designate a room if you do have a large tree on the front left corner or the rear right corner. Maybe have a team meeting or a family meeting, sorry, with your family. And if the ice does accumulate and the wind's howling, really all just have a room to go to or have a way to exit the household.
Yeah, excellent advice. We talk about the trees in the area taking out power and causing significant damage. In the event that this does happen, what are the first steps that someone should take? I know typically we hear people calling 911 and we don't necessarily know who is the right person to contact when a tree does fall onto your house.
I'm glad you asked this question. That's a really good question. It took me actually a few years in Atlanta to figure out how to process all this because there's all these different jurisdictions, right, on an actual neighborhood and a road. So if a road is blocked, what I was told is that you call the fire department. They're in charge of keeping the roadways clear for emergencies. Obviously, you call your power company, your local EMC, Georgia Power, if there is catastrophic power outages, trees on power lines. Do not go near any wire. Any wire on the ground can be holding energy. Do not touch any wires. really try to avoid going near trees that are pinning down wires. If it's wet out, if it's raining, you don't want to walk on wet surfaces near these trees where they're grounded with power lines. So be very cautious and very, I don't want to say afraid, but understand there's usually a great threat when there's lines down.
Typically, I know during winter weather or significant storm events, you all get very busy. What are you starting to hear as you go into this weekend?
We're getting a lot of phone calls to look at properties right now, so that's a good thing. So it's a stimulating activity. Most of our clients that do residual maintenance on their trees usually have less storm damage to their house, to their trees, and to their property. So if you haven't had anyone come look at your trees, this could be a good wake-up call for an arborist to come out, start a relationship with your arborist, just like you have a dentist, and just touch base with them and just have them come out and take a look. And if they find something, they will write it up and make recommendations.
Well said. I want to make sure that I didn't leave anything out. Is there anything that you want to make sure people know? You know, we head into this type of storm. A lot of people learn new ways to prepare and protect themselves. I want to make sure nothing is left unsaid, especially as we talk about trees and arborist work.
You know, we live in an age of everyone's on their laptop or cell phones, and a lot of people are focused looking at the GPS, looking at the phone screen, looking at the computer. I would just say be a lot more observant of your surroundings. Every once in a while, stop and look up. Is this the place to stand when it's windy? Is this the place to park my vehicle, waiting for my kids to get out of school? Just look up, be observant. Sometimes you can watch the trees too. If you don't like the way a tree's moving, really think about a way how to get away from this tree before it can fall or fail towards you.
John Powell, thank you so much for joining us here on ANF Plus. We are going to continue your weather coverage here on air and online. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
And joining me now is John Powell. And thank you for joining us back here at Atlanta News First Plus. Again, we spoke to a ton of experts from road safety to home preparations, grocery stores, and even the trees surrounding you. You want to keep in mind multiple things as we're getting ready for the weekend, making sure that you have the basic essentials. Again, as we continue to talk about winter preparation, another important tool is to have a way to communicate and receive regular updates, and that is what the First Alert weather app is for. We have the largest team of meteorologists in the Southeast, and they are working around the clock, giving you minute-by-minute updates of changes in the forecast, of alerts like the winter storm watch that meteorologist Ella Dorsey was talking about at the start of this stream. It is very important to have a way to receive regular weather updates. The First Alert weather app has updates that are in a form that is digestible, that is specific to your area, so it is a fantastic tool to download. And to better explain how to follow for weather updates as we get into the weekend and increase our coverage for you is First Alert meteorologist Rodney Harris.
Harris, we're always asking you to download the app to stay up to date with our weather. So I want to walk you through some things that may be helpful for you this week as we get closer to this First Alert over the upcoming weekend. I want to start by reminding you, you can always access your hourly forecast, your daily forecast, and the radar at the bottom of the screen, also getting back to the home page. But what I really want to focus on today is the video. Every time we send you a push alert with video, it's always going to appear at the top of the weather Weather app. The most recent video is the very first thing you'll see. But don't forget that we do multiple videos throughout the day, and sometimes we do videos that we keep up for multiple days if we want you to always have access to it. So you can scroll to your left to access any video that we've recorded for you for the First Alert Weather app. We usually do more long-form videos to really walk you through what we're expecting for the weekend, so don't forget about that. Also want to make sure that you know that in addition to these videos that we record, you can actually watch our newscast live from inside the First Alert Weather app. Just scroll down past the radar and the hourly forecast, and you'll see a section that says live video. When you click on that section, it'll take you to this page where you can watch our newscast, every single newscast we do live, and that's not only the case throughout the course of the week, but when we have weather events. So for example, if you lose power, which we obviously don't want to happen, you can still access us by watching those newscasts from the First Alert Weather app. We're going to continue to walk you through a lot of the different things you can do in this app throughout the course of the week. And you can also always find your forecast right here in the First Alert Weather app.
Thanks, Rodney. And of course, we see your questions on YouTube, on Facebook. What I'm going to do is take those questions, give it to our First Alert Meteorology team. They will both update you on air and online in those apps with information, some of which you are already asking. And of course, here at Atlanta News First Plus, we like to make sure that you have access to us around the clock. So you can text weather to 470-777-9263. Again, 470-777-9263. You text the word weather, we will send you a link that gives you your forecast and your latest coverage of what we're following. And you can also send us questions. You can send us photos, videos, especially if you are seeing damage or winter weather conditions in your area that you want to share with us, that we can share with other viewers. That is a fantastic way to get in contact with us. And our newsroom here checks on those regularly, and we'll respond back to you. So this is a fantastic tool. You can text your newsroom. We are in 2026 and technology is on our side. Again, I'm seeing all your questions. We will have an update at 7:30, a live Q&A here on ANF Plus. Some of these questions I will make sure to get over to our First Alert Meteorology team. In the meantime, Atlanta News First News at 3 going into the afternoon and evening hours, we will have our First Alert Meteorologists giving you regular updates throughout our newscasts, again, into that 7:30 live Q&A on ANF Plus. So make sure you tune in and keep up to date on weather with us as we continue to follow this storm, especially, again, Saturday and Sunday, leading into next week as we're expecting to stay near or below freezing. Those weather impacts are going to continue to remain, and it's going to change because a lot more people are headed back into work Monday. If you can stay home, if the weather conditions in your area continue to be significant, do start considering that and making a plan with your family, communicating with your team and your employer, and making sure that you, again, follow weather updates as closely as you can. Keep it right here. We're going to take you out to ATL Live with our continuing coverage. Atlanta News First News at 3 is coming up next.
Stay up to date on your latest weather from the largest team of meteorologists in the Southeast. Download the First Alert Weather app for hour-by-hour forecasts and join us every weekday at 11:30 a.m. on ANF Plus. You can also text weather to the number on your screen, and we'll send a link directly to your cell phone.